Good evening guys, welcome to Casita's virtual kitchen. We're back again with another simple tapas for you guys. So tonight we're making meatballs. We've got the ingredients down the front, we're going to run through everything with you. First thing I'm going to do is talk through the beef mince. So this is just a 5% fat, nice beef mince. We're going to season that up with some spices. So starting at this end here, I've got some salt. This is just Maldon sea salt, some ground cumin, some sweet smoked paprika. And then in this little dish here, this is the kind of the secret to the show. This is basically some onions that have been sweated off with a little bit of garlic. And then we've added Lea & Perrins or Henderson's relish, like a Worcestershire sauce, and we've reduced it down. So we've done that, they're cool, so we can able to add those to the mince now. That's obviously quite important. We don't want to add the hot onions to the mince. And then the last couple of bits we're going to put into the meatball mix itself. Over here is a little bit of tomato sauce and brown sauce, so obviously Heinz and HP. We wouldn't have anything else. So dead simple for the meatballs. I've got a big bowl here. We're going to go in with some salt. Quite generous. There's about half a kilo of mince in here, so you need to be quite generous with your seasonings. Bit of cumin, about a teaspoon. Smoked paprika, again about a teaspoon and a half. We're going to go in with the onions that we've made already. Good thing about the Henderson's relish over the sort of Lea & Perrins is it's got sort of less allergens in it, so we tend to use that as opposed to the Lea & Perrins. I'm going to go in with the ketchup. It's quite important not to make the mix too wet. If you make it too wet, then obviously it's quite soft, and when we come to rolling them, it will just they tend to sort of fall apart when we cook them as well. So similar ketchup to brown sauce, and then it's just a mix job. So we're going to get our hands in. We're going to give that a good mix up. This makes sort of great sort of mini sliders if you wanted to do them either, or make this mix and make it to a big burger and get it on your barbecue. So that it's quite a versatile mix, but this is how we make our meatballs. And we serve these with the tomato sauce, the Bravas sauce that we made in one of our previous videos. So if you did miss that, feel free to go back and watch that. Okay, so we've mixed this nicely now. It's important to get an even mix of the spices. You don't want a mouthful of salt or a mouthful of just a paprika, so it's important to mix that well. If you wanted to, you can add a bit of green in there. We sort of stopped adding the herbs because we put all our herbs into our actual tomato sauce, but you could put some fresh basil, some parsley in there if you wanted to, or a bit of fresh thyme. Now to roll these, again, as big as you want, we roll them around 40 grams. So if you have a little scales, obviously weigh them, but feel free just to crack on. I've got a little bit of oil here that I'm just going to sort of rub with my fingers. That's just going to help roll them and stop the meat sticking to the fingers. So pick our meat out, roll them. You want to make sure they're nice and compact. Obviously, if you leave them a little bit too with loads of sort of cracks in there, when you do go to cook them, they're going to sort of fall apart a bit. So nice good shape, good size. You can make them a bit smaller if you want. Obviously they'll cook a bit quicker, but they might dry out a bit more. So a lot of places do a sort of mixture of pork mince and beef mince, which is again good for keeping them nice and moist. We tend to keep them just beef mince at the restaurant. So around 4 or 5 of these per portion. So just keep the oil on our hands so it's not sticking to the hands, which is great. Now these do need to be finished in the oven, so we're going to roast them off now to get a bit of colour on them. Really important to roast and get that sort of caramelisation colour on the outside, but they will need to be finished in the oven for around 4 to 5 minutes. It's always good to leave the meatballs a little bit under, and then what we can do is we can get them into the tomato sauce and we can finish them in the sauce, and then they stay nice and moist. If we cook them too much in the oven, they'll just dry out. So last one, and then just for the purpose of this video, but obviously you can see there's plenty of mix left for more. So I'm just going to give the hands a little wash. So as you can see on here, I've just got a frying pan that I'm going to get hot now. A little bit of sunflower oil or veg oil to start with. Get that nice and high. Last thing for the meatballs, I've got a little bit of butter down the front, so when I go in with the meatballs, I'm going to just get a quick colour on them, a little bit of salt, a bit of butter, and then I say what we'll do is we're going to transfer them to the oven. Around 180, your sort of standard cooking temperature, around 180 for 4 to 5 minutes. And then they should come out really nice and soft, and then we're going to add them to our tomato sauce here. So like I say, if you did miss the tomato sauce, feel free to watch our patatas bravas video. The sauce is the same, but basically in here, just for a quick recap, we've got some diced onion, we've got some diced garlic, we've sweated that off, we've added some nice rich red wine, reduced it down. These are just tinned tomatoes, which we then reduce really slowly. We add some chilli and some of our spices down here, some salt, some cumin and some of the paprika. We cook all the spices out, and then we finish it with loads of nice fresh herbs, spring onions, a bit of parsley, and some fresh basil leaves, which is homegrown, and I've got down here. I'm just waiting for this pan to get hot enough that when we put it in, we're going to get a bit of colour on the meatballs. So we're not too far off there. So albondigas is what they call them in Spain. Very popular tapas. Probably one of our most popular, along with kind of prawns and calamari, and obviously our famous belly pork, which it's come to be. So it is a staple of any sort of tapas menu. Okay, so our pan's ready. We're going to go in one by one. Just going to put them in the same sort of direction there, so we know which ones we're kind of going to go turn first. And that's a good sign. We want to hear that kind of roast. We go in with a little bit of salt. Obviously we have seasoned the mix as well, with a little bit more salt in there with it. And we're just going to colour these up. You can see you've got a nice little colour on the top there. If you're making these a little bit more in advance, it's probably a little bit better if you just give them a bit of time in the fridge just to firm up a little bit, and you try to cook them straight away. Sometimes they do stick a little bit, but we've got a nice non-stick pan here, so we should be okay. All we really want is a nice colour on most of the sides of the meatballs itself. When we add the butter, that's going to help. It's going to foam, and it's going to colour those last few little bits that we need colouring. I have got a tray already in the oven, preheated, so I'm going to take that out ready. Obviously, if you don't preheat a tray and you put them into the oven, they do take a little bit longer. If you have a frying pan at home with a metal handle, perfect. You can just throw that straight into the oven and you don't need to move trays. But obviously we don't, so we'll put them onto another tray. Perfect, right, in with some butter. So butter down the front, nice little bit of butter. I'm just going to let that melt. Roll the meatballs around a little bit. Nearly ready to go to the oven. Be really careful when you're moving the balls, because they can be quite soft, so we don't want to obviously break them up. Wonderful, so all the butter's melted now, we've got a nice colour on them, and we're just going to transfer them over to this tray. And these are going to take around 4 to 5 minutes in the oven. If we take them out and, like I say, they're a little bit under, then that's fine. We can just add them to our sauce. Just turn that off. We can add them to our sauce, and then we'll just finish cooking them in there. So into the oven, 180 for 4 to 5 minutes, and then we're going to come back and we're going to finish them off. So we shall see you very shortly. Right guys, welcome back. So the meatballs have now had their time in the oven. I'm just going to add them to the sauce. Feel free to add this kind of juices that have come out of it. We're going to reduce it a little bit anyway. So all into the pan. Just get rid of that. Just going to stir this around. We're going to give those around a minute in there, just while we get some other vegetables ready over here. So also on here I have some spring onion, a little bit of fresh basil, a bit of parsley, and then we're going to garnish it with a little bit of fresh tomato on the top. I'm just going to chop all these bits and then add them to the sauce. So don't worry about being too fine, just chop once, nicely through the basil. Spring onions, again, chop these on a bit of an angle. And our parsley is already chopped. With the tomato, we're just going to half it, quarter it. Just going to take the seeds out. So use a knife to go along the line here. So we'll just take the seeds out. We don't want them. I'm just going to dice this up. It's a nice little bit of fresh tomato for the top. We'll do another half. Nice little dice there. Garnish. And then this one, same. Just little dice. Cool, right, so that's all done. Just waiting for this sauce to get the heat back into. I'm going to go in with the herbs. Like I say, fresh flat leaf parsley, spring onions, nice basil. Just going to stir all that in. It's a really nice way, like I said before, to finish the meatballs. So if they are a little bit under, then we can finish them in the sauce. It can stay nice and moist, and they're not going to dry out in the oven. A nice sized tapas dish here for them. So no frills with this, just spoon it in. Nice generous amount of the sauce. Again, you can see the nice fresh herbs giving a nice colour. Nice spoonful of sauce over the top. There we go. And then just garnish it up. With a little bit of the fresh tomato that we've just chopped on the top, just to give it a bit of freshness. And again, a la 1990s, a bit of fresh parsley. And there you have it. There is our albondigas, our beef meatballs served at La Casita. So thank you for joining. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe down below to the cooking channel, ring the bell for the notifications for a new video, and please comment if you do try to make this at home. Please let us know. Wonderful. We'll see you again on La Casita's virtual kitchen. Thank you. Bye bye.